This is Group 4, Wednesday, 12 p.m. tutorial for RTL 2, Semester 2H 2018. Our group's main question was, how does collaborative and cooperative learning impact on student engagement in stages 4 and 5? This question has been split into 4 sub-questions, which are as follows. Question 1. What is the impact of problem-based collaborative learning on student engagement? Question 2. What is the collaboration process an effective strategy for student engagement in stages 4 and 5? Question 3. How does ICT enhance student engagement in cooperative and collaborative learning within the classroom? And question 4. How do peer-to-peer collaborative learning strategies impact on student engagement? And now we're going to discuss literature reviews.
Collaborative and cooperative learning are both pedagogical techniques teachers use in order for students to work together in groups and engage in activities. Its process involves a significant amount of effort from teachers, such as content preparation and a vast understanding of students' background knowledge. It is shown to have beneficial effects on students, mainly developing their social and interpersonal skills. They also rely on each other to improve and enhance their learning. Reynolds 2018 highlights that engagement was increased in the classes that valued group work. As the teacher plays a less active role, the students feel more in control and engaged more readily at the task in hand. The teacher then in turn becomes the facilitator, not the driving force. Problem-based learning, or PBL, consists of small groups of students engaged in an ill-structured problem. This means that they should have clear goals for students to attain. Goals that are achievable through collaboration and communication between students, feeding off each other. This can have a big impact on student engagement. The use of computer-supported collaborative learning, where students work in a collaborative context, utilizing the resources of technology to complete research, problem-solving tasks, and high-level activities, and obtain the 7 affordances to engage, communicate, and share their knowledge through the foundation of collaborative learning processes. To participate with CSCL, students will learn to work around and also through technology in communicating student knowledge and understanding. CSCL often relates to the UDL framework through the means of technology as an assistive device to encourage student participation in their own learning. With the new age of technology in the classrooms, being able to keep up is important, and content management systems allow students to work cohesively in a group context, showing independent learning through students' motivation to interact with CMS. This helps students to complete all set tasks and activities left by educators. For students to actively interact with CMS, teachers must ensure that all content prepared for the lesson and group activities is provided through CMS to allow students to fully engage in their own independent learning. Implications that teachers need to consider when using CMS is student motivation in upholding independent learning and the application of CMS as an effective way of delivering content in a group context. Conversely, Sen, Ruder, Powell, and Hirsch believe that there is a lack of quantitative research into the dynamics of group interactions and that individual contributions remain hidden behind group assessment, whereas studies have shown that PBL can be used to increase students' ability to think critically, solve problems, and become self-directed learners. Themes emerge from the literature reviews that show the impact of collaborative and cooperative learning, or CNCL, is prominent. It is shown that teachers need to prepare the content and take in the factors of each individual student. They need to account for differentiation among their students as well as their social and interpersonal skills. Taking social and interpersonal skills into account for CNCL helps enhance learning amongst each group and can increase student engagement. The literature goes on to explain how ICT can help improve student engagement. It provides students with the opportunity to work independently. Not only that, they can research what they need in order to find a solution to a problem. The literature also discusses the use of ICT from the teacher's point of view. Content management systems, or CMS, allow the teacher to monitor the student's work. and then develop what is needed in order for students to engage in content. The objective of the literature review synthesis is to show how the 4 questions used in the action research task that Group 4 have undertaken. We endeavour to find out how collaborative and cooperative learning impacts on student engagement in stages 4 and 5. Now you'll hear from Jasmine in regards to the data analysis.
Group's independent findings on student engagement was explored through multiple perspectives from interviewees, surveys gathering teacher beliefs, and personal observations of the behaviours within the classroom. Student engagement was defined through 4 methods that reported information of the teacher's beliefs on collaborative learning strategies, learning aids, and student development. Collaborative learning, as represented through the data collected, provides both an effective and problematic approach based on the perspectives of the teacher and the student. When identifying the effectiveness of C and CL, the data presents the importance of educators considering the following aspects of explicit lesson design, delivery, and activities that accommodate the needs and interests of the students. The results from our data show that C and CL environments improve student engagement when clear scaffolding, relevance to the curriculum outcomes, and the right materials for the right mindset are presented within effective programs. Interesting data concepts that were raised was the implementation of fun to increase student engagement and the size of groups to assist in maintaining classroom management and student self-regulation within the collaborative setting. CNCL and the perspective of student involvement resulted that students' choice, motivation, and self-regulation impacts their engagement to learning. These factors are important in developing their social and interpersonal skills in a collaborative context. Looking at the downfall of CNCL through data presents 2 main concerns, being teacher confidence and pedagogy as components of effective CNCL. The data defines teacher lesson programs as broad, ill-equipped, and irrelevant in meeting the outcomes of the curriculum, where findings suggest that educators utilize majority of the lesson time in trying to control misbehavior or motivate students' independent learning in collaborative contexts. Overall, the data implements the effectiveness of CNCL on the student's ability to face challenges without teacher assistance. This is often justified to student maturity and ability to self-regulate their own learning in cohesive environments, which in time will allow educators to effectively use their lesson time to observe and assist students in meeting lesson objectives. The outlook of the observation data showed students' contribution to group assessment tasks. Students were observed as being less inclined to fully participate in group activities. For example, listening to each other, taking on leadership roles, conveying motivation amongst their learning, and engaging in problem-solving activities. Higher rates of student participation were shown, as well as independent regulation amongst learning. Aspects to consider that could affect the collection of data is the size of groups, as mentioned previously. This is in order of keeping students motivated and on task. The types of strategies in implementing student engagement in CNCL were refined to project-based learning, computer-supported collaborative learning, content management systems, and peer-to-peer learning. The teacher's understanding of these strategies and confidence in implementing this among practice provides aid to student engagement. In review, teachers were asked how much they integrated the following strategies. The results presented that 28% of teachers use 5 to 50% of their lesson on PBL. 57% of teachers use 5 to 10% on group practical tasks, and 43% of teachers use 10% of their lesson on individualized tasks. Overall, the use of PBL in lesson delivery showed an equal 28% of teachers implementing PBL either once a week, once a month, once a term, or less than that. Other strategies that assist in maintaining CNCL are reward systems, peer-to-peer learning, and implementation of learning aids. Learning aids within a cohesive environment can be considered through content management systems or computer-supported collaborative learning. Both ICT approaches can create enjoyable stimulus for student engagement, although CMS and CSCL, if not implemented effectively, can create the opposite effect of student misbehaviour due to following factors of connectivity issues, accessibility to the internet, and inefficient programming. Overall, the data presented teaching pedagogy as the main cause for effective CNCL. With reference to the APS standards, 1, know the student and how they learn, 2, know the content and how to teach it, and 3, planning effective learning programs. Teachers that efficiently presented a cohesive learning environment, presented clear lessons that met the interests and needs of the students, the New South Wales curriculum, and were innovative towards their approach. Lastly, it was found that students who engaged in CNCL developed their social and interpersonal skills through their understanding and ability to regulate their own learning.
Our proposed action research plan will take place in a regular classroom setting in both Stage 4 and Stage 5 classrooms. We as teachers will be the action researchers. Our students will be our participants. We will then use the results of our action research to present our findings in faculty meetings and encourage our colleagues to adapt a similar action research project in their own classrooms. Our action research plan was affected by the literature in the following ways. The literature we gathered indicated that PBL helps students to develop social and interpersonal skills, as well as coming to rely on peers for help rather than only asking their teacher for assistance. Research also shows that PBL has shown to foster students' ability to think critically, solve problems, and become self-directed learners. While ICT use was shown to improve student engagement by providing students the opportunity to work independently to find solutions for the problems they are facing. Our action research plan was affected by the data collection in the following ways. Our data collection demonstrated that PBL is most effective when the content and pedagogies used are in line with student interests, and as such, we will be choosing to carry out the action research plan on a unit of work that we know is interesting for students. In our case, we've chosen the unit of work on the guitar, as we are all trained music teachers and have a shared interest in this topic. The observation data showed that students are less likely to take on leadership roles and display intrinsic motivation when the learning is not seen as relevant for outside of the classroom. This again shows that our unit of the guitar is appropriate for our action research plan. To conduct research in K-12 classrooms, there are two steps of review. Firstly, the proposal is reviewed by the WSU Human Research Ethics Committee. Secondly, the proposal must be submitted for review by the State Education Research Application Process of New South Wales. To gain informed consent, we will be asking all students to take home the same consent form that we used when we conducted our initial research for their parents to sign on their behalf. They will be also informed that they are free to withdraw at any time. All students and school names will be de-identified to ensure that privacy concerns are not breached. And in an attempt to account for potential harm, the school counsellor will attend the initial lesson at the beginning of the action research project to inform students about potential harm and risk minimisation. The research will be conducted via the use of surveys and observations to attempt to collect both qualitative and quantitative data. Surveys will use questions adapted from our initial research using Likert scale style questions in order to obtain the most accurate quantitative data. Open-ended questions will be used to obtain detailed qualitative data, and each question will have an "other, please specify" as an option in order to catch all possible responses, even those outside of our initial scope. Observation will be used to gather data in a more natural setting, in an attempt to eliminate any issues with power balance affecting the survey's responses, as well as to gather potential data not addressed in the surveys. Once the data has been collected, analysed, and synthesised, in the same manner we are presenting today, we will present our findings at a faculty meeting. We anticipate that our action research will show that student engagement in the Stage 4 and 5 classroom is greatly increased through the use of PBL when the task is relevant to the syllabus and also to outside the classroom setting. Thank you.